Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs. So here I am. I must be live from Los Angeles, California. What you see me here is in my studio, and come and join me so that we can talk about. I want to talk to you about different things today. I want to talk to you about making money with your photography, and I want to talk to you about a new plugin called Luminar from that I'm playing around with, which I think is really cool. It's one little tool to add to your tools as a photographer. So, bonjour, 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 Hendrik Bervot, bonjour, Bashar Trabulsi. People are starting to connecting here. I'm just going to wait before people, start connecting because the way this goes, this spreads this. If you can actually share this on your social media saying that I'm live so that people can connect, that'd be great. Of course, this will be then shown to my YouTube channel and you will see. Uh, do you guys can hear me well? I'm just always checking because this YouTube live thing is my second time, and I'm never sure if it's really good. So if you can leave me in a comment and tell me if the sound is okay, if it's not too much lagging. I'm afraid it's a bit lagging. But bonsoir, Jose from Luxembourg. Bonsoir, Pablo Padula. Merci, Hendrik. Bonsoir, Alex Tomaras. So a lot of people are coming from all over the world. That's so cool. I think, it's unbelievable. Years ago, I would not imagine that I could be talking to 100, 200, 1,000 people just like this on a live show and go back and forth. So today I wanted to talk to you about making money because one of the questions I get the most is people are passionate about photography and they want to start making money. Now I don't have all the answers on this because I only have a certain pass, and but I want to tell you a little bit my past, so maybe it will inspire you, of doing things that might help you. Anyways, we have some more people joining from Montreal, from Montpellier, from Texas. Bonjour. Bonjour Bernarderie from Montreal. Bonjour Camelia from Algeria. Wow, it's so funny. People from all over the world. I love that. I think it's so cool. Okay, so I want to talk. I want to give you a personal story that maybe will inspire you on, at least my past of how I went from, making no money with photography with making money with photography. So I started my adventure in photography in 2004. I was 34 at the time. When I was a kid, I was passionate about computers, like really passionate. I'm 46 now. When I was 11, I bought the what it was, the Sinclair ZX81. It was the first personal computer, and the first thing that I wanted to do with that personal computer was create some kind of graphics. But at the time, you couldn't do any graphics. So then, in '84, when I was 14, I bought the ZX Spectrum from Sinclair. It was a British company, and you could do a little bit of graphics. And I started playing video game. And then when I was 19, in '89, I bought the Atari 500 NST. And the first thing that I do was learn to play JFA basics to programming. I wanted to program like a sort of Photoshop. So I was really like a geek very early on, and I always wanted. Oops, sorry. I always wanted to have some, how do you say? Let me turn that off. I don't know the notifications off. Boom. Voila. Should be better. Anyways, so I've always wanted to do something, I always liked the idea that a computer can help you do art. And this is something, so when I was a kid, I was playing a lot of, well, I was playing video games, but I was also trying a lot of graphic things. And then, I got married very early and I had to work and make money for my kids. So I started working as a salesman, and I did this for from the age of 20 to 35. The problem with that is that it was good, I was making decent money, but early on, I really wanted to create some graphics and I really wanted to create some photos. And I felt that I wanted to do something greater with my life than just being a salesman. By then I had 4 kids, a big house, so I need to take care of the family. But I was so passionate about wanting to do something artistic, but I didn't know what to do. So the first thing, because I've always wanted to be an actor and a director, so the first thing that I started doing actually was making shorts. I wanted to make shorts, so I did a few shorts, and but then I realized to make short, you need a lot of gear and need a lot of personnel, cameramen, actors, sets, a lot of things. And then one day I was on holidays with my friend Calvin Pimon, who's my best friend and my business partner today. And he was a Photoshop expert at the time, and he showed me a photo of a friend that we took, and he retouched it with Photoshop. And I was like, and in a few clicks, he made it into like a cover, like a magazine cover. And I was like, and then I realized, oh, I agreed left channel only. Let me see if I can do something about that. I'm not sure I can. Okay, I will see. Anyways, I wanted to, I really wanted to do something artistically, and he showed me Photoshop, how powerful it was, and I got really obsessed. Like, I realized that if you had one camera, you can just create any art. And that was like 2004, 2005. I came back, I bought all the books I could find on photography, all the tutorials I could find. The best was at the time from Scott Kelby, which is a good friend now. So I learned a lot from Scott. And I started doing, because at the time I was a salesman selling websites in Paris. So I started taking photos of Paris after work. I usually used to finish my work around 6 o'clock. And so I would take photos just for the fun. I started my first camera was a Canon 350 EOS D, I think 2005, 2006. And then I started taking a lot of photos of Paris, and first it was costing me a lot of money. I was buying gear, I was taking photos, and I just enjoyed the process so much. Every night after work, I would, from 6 to 8, I would take photos. And then when I would come home, I would, spend some time with the family. And then from 10 to 12, I would watch tutorials. I was watching a lot the Photoshop guys at the time, and, Matt Kloskowski, Dave Cross, Scott Kelby, all these guys. And I learned a lot from them, a lot. And then I started getting better and better and better. I started getting better and better with the, with my photography. But for the first, from 2005 to 2008, it was just my pleasure. It was just an investment. I was learning, and I was, doing photos. And I started to have some decent photography. It took me 3 years before I was like really happy with my body work, And bonsoir Aurélien Cotard, bonsoir Vic from Belgium. And I will look some of the questions afterwards. I just want to finish my story. So from 2005 to 2008, all I did was watch tutorials, take photos. Watch tutorials, take photos. And my idea is you have to do this until you feel you have a body of work that you're proud of, because it takes a learning curve to, and a lot of, trying and mistakes and finding the right composition. Anyway, by 2008, I had a Paris collection that I really like. And then I knew a guy who was opening a hotel, and he saw my photo of Paris, and he said, do you want to try your technique with photographing a hotel? It was called it was the Hidden Hotel in Champs-Élysées in Paris. Beautiful hotel, 4-star hotel. And he said, but you know what? I'm going to take 5 photographers to shoot one room, and every one of you is going to have a test room, and the one that takes the best photo wins $5,000 to shoot the entire hotel. And I went there and I did some HDR. It was because it was I did some HDR with Photomatics, and everybody else did like classic photography. And the hotel manager loved the HDR, and he said, "Okay, you get the $5,000." And that was the first money I made with photography. Was my first work, $5,000 to shoot a hotel. It was like, wow, you can make money with this. After 3 years of investment, I can start making money. And so I started doing. So I did the shoot of this hotel, and actually slowly, between 2008 and 2010, I stopped doing sales and started doing real estate photography. I went from one job to another and was starting to make good money with my photography. And I did this up to about 2013 for 5 years. I shot 200 hotels. I was making okay money, but I wanted to get into the galleries. I wanted to get into the big time. And there was one company called Yellow Corner that had 12 galleries in Paris, 60 at the time around the world, and I wanted to sell my work there. So I kept sending them email. And they were not answering. They get so many emails, And but then what I did is I made a website that was that looked very professional with very little photos. I started growing a lot my social media. And finally, after 5 years, they responded, and they says, "Okay, we will try 3 photos. We take 3 photos from you, we put it in a gallery. If it works, then maybe we go further. So I was like super happy, 3 photos. I put it in a gallery. And this is where the miracle happened. Now, I have a strong belief that if you do what you're passionate about, if you really do what you like, the right people is going to appear in your life. The right things are going to come. Not, just that's how it is. If you don't do what you're passionate about, if you don't follow your own goals, then these are less likely to happen. Because before this time, before I started doing my passion, life was just regular, but when I started doing my passion, a lot of miracles happened. And here is one miracle that really changed my life. So listen to this. I put 3 photos in the gallery. A few days later, the owner calls me up and says, we want to make a book about Paris. And we got, I think it was Flammarion, one of the biggest publishers in France. He's a friend. He was a friend of the owner, and he said, "I can show him your photos, and maybe we'll do a book about Paris." And I'm like, "Oh, that'd be amazing! I would love that." So I was really happy. A book about Paris and blah blah blah. He comes back a week later and says, "I spoke to Flammarion, and they love your photo. They want to make a book." I'm like, "Amazing," but that's not the miracle. 2 days later, I get an email from a German publisher called Tenhaus. And big publisher. I had no idea who they were at the time. And they said, we want to make a book with your photos of Paris. And I'm like, yeah, but I cannot because I'm about to sign the contract with Flammarion and Yellow Corner. Big gallery. And they go like, well, no, you don't understand. We are like much more distributed internationally than Flammarion. We are much bigger than Flammarion. And I said, yeah, but I cannot. I'm about to sign a contract with Yellow Corner. I only have one word. And the guy says, okay, I'm taking a flight with 2 of my executives. We want to talk to Yellow Corner. So they flew over, and we had a big meeting with 3 people from Tenhaus and the 2 owners of Yellow Corner. And they just like explain how they want to make a book with me about Paris and New York, and they love my photo, and they want to make a deal that's much bigger, international distribution. And the guys at Yellow Corner were like, wow, I don't know who this guy is, but like he's getting so much interest. So then they said, we'll take 24 more photos from you instead of 3 because you have all this interest about yourself. And now I started making really good money with galleries because now I had 27 photos plus 2 book deals, and that completely changed my life because then the press came on. Then I sell photos to National Geographic, to Nike, and my whole income as a photographer completely blew up from the moment I got that phone call from that German publisher. And so I know it's kind of a luck thing, it's kind of like, yeah, but I don't believe in luck. I believe that if you're passionate enough, and if you study enough, and if you shoot enough, and if you make a good website that really shows your best work, the right people will show up. And you have to use social media to post every good photo you're doing. And that is the number 1 tip I would give you to make money with your photography. Okay. All right. So that was my story. So keep on training, with my tutorials, with other people's tutorials. Keep on shooting, work your composition, work your light, until you have a body of work of at least 20 photos per subject that you think is awesome, that everybody says they're great photos. You have a website, you use social media. Galleries, publishers are looking every day for good content, and they will find you if you are there. Okay, now let me answer a few questions. Sorry. Let me answer a few questions here. So, Ramelli is an Italian name. My granddad was Italian from Rome, and he had a very strong Italian accent. Io parlo un poco italiano. I speak a little bit Italian. Hello from Texas. Jack Webster asked, how did you move to LA and why? And that's a cool story. I moved to LA because I wanted to work in the movie business. I wanted to work as an actor. And while I was doing all my photographic work, I teamed up with some friends to create a movie production company in Paris. And that didn't go well. We produced one movie, but we had some disagreements, and it just didn't go well. But in the meantime, my best friend Calvin, who got me into photography in 2004, got married to an American and moved to Los Angeles. And he said, oh, why don't you move to Los Angeles with me? And I was really at the time looking for a business partner, and so he organized for me to get my O1 visa, which is an artist visa. By the time I had over 100,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel, which the U.S. immigration said, "Well, that's good. We'll give you an O1 visa." So I had the O1 visa, and then we went to and so I came here. And also the thing that happened that was amazing here is that a friend of Kelvin saw my YouTube channel and got inspired to write a movie called The Hollywoodans about a French guy trying to make it as an actor in Hollywood. And so he wrote the script. We found the finances. Canon sponsored movie. We shot the movie, and the movie's coming out in a few weeks. Actually, the movie is finished, and we are in talk with distributor for selling it to TV channels and things like this. So then I started. That really got me going into movie making. So now we're working on another movie project, and actually we're working on 7 movies right now. 7 movies different. Just at the beginning, but we are finding finances. We're finding partners. I partner with a screenwriter called Darius Will here. He is just an amazing writer. So I'm working so the next movie that I'm working on is called The Parisian. It's a great story, a little bit like Ghost. I don't know if you've seen Ghost, but it's a little bit of mixed up of Ghost and a romantic comedy. And I'm the lead actor on this one also. But then I'm also working on movies where I'm not involved as an actor. I'm working on a movie called One Night in Mexico, a beautiful, beautiful movie. It's a bit of a heartbreaking romantic story with an amazing ending. Actually, that script was voted to be one of the best out of 4,000 scripts by by Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer on some script contest. Then I'm working on another one called Once Upon a Time in Paris. It's a parkour movie like District 13, Banlieue 13. I don't know if you've seen the movie. We're working on that. We've found some financing on that. We are working on another action movie called The Bait, which is like a pure action movie. And we are working on a couple of other projects that it's too long to talk about. Anyway, so I'm really getting involved in movie making as an actor. That's really my new passion, but I still love doing photos, and I take photos almost every day. So that's why I moved to Los Angeles. All right. Let me see. Isn't your passion shows? Thank you. No sound. Oh, somebody's got no sound. Apparently, some people have some sound. Hello. Hello Aurélien, I really like the Q&A, it's a great initiative. Thank you Aurélien. Any question? Tu veux me poser une question? Any question you want to ask? Marcel Côté, belle histoire. Thank you Marcel. John G is asking what are the benefits of Luminar over Lightroom. Now, I want to, I know I talk a lot about plugins here on this channel, and I want to show you a little demonstration. I am passionate about computers. I love computers so much. I even when I was a kid, I started programming in Photoshop. I started programming like a 3D software. I've learned 3D. I'm just passionate about computers. I've got like 5 computers, iPhones, everything. It's a big investment for me. So I also check out all the plugins that comes out, and I really, for me, the company today making the best plugin on the market is MacFun, and I know it's Mac only. I'm sorry for Windows users, but they're working on doing all their plugins into Windows, at least Aurora, HDR. But Luminar, I think, is also going to be Windows one day. You know what? The reason why I like plugin is that it takes you to places you wouldn't expect. You can do things you wouldn't expect. Luminar is great for people who are not good in Photoshop, are good in Lightroom, and just want to add it for a different look. Let me show you a little demonstration. I'm going to try to do this live. So I'm going to change camera. Now you should see this is my Lightroom, and this is a photo that I took of, that is the view you get from the first floor of the Eiffel Tower in Paris. Okay, and I want to show you why I use plugins. So I'm going to do my usual workflow, where I'm going to open up the shadows, bring down the highlights. I'm going to do some whites and some blacks, maybe add a bit of clarity. Well, not on this one, minus clarity. I think I have a bit of noise on this one. Let me see. What did I shoot this with? Oh, computer is lagging. I'm doing so many things at the same time. All right, that's the good thing about live. When I do record video, it doesn't. Okay, I shot this at 125 ISO. Okay, so I'm going to do some sharpening, like my usual formula, which is 80 sharpening, 20 masking, 20 noise reduction, remove chromatic aberration, on the bad profile correction. So that's basically, show you the before and after. That's kind of the best that I get into Lightroom. I'm like, yeah, it's kind of nice, but what could I do with it? So I'm going to right click and edit and show you Luminar, which is a new plugin from Macfun. You will get the link of where to get the plugin if you are a Mac user. And I can and I hope I'm not going to offend anyone, but I want to tell you a story about Mac versus Windows. Back in May, I was in New Zealand with Trey Rackless, and I was teaching photography to 22 students. We were in a big room. 11 people had MacBook Pros, and 11 people had Windows laptops. And I can tell you something. The Windows laptops were not easy to use at all. Like, we had all kind of issues with the Windows. They had a hard time to follow my instructions. We had some resets. I mean, and I had no issue with the MacBook Pro, honestly. And I don't make money with Apple, but if you're really serious about photography, buy a MacBook Pro or an iMac. You will love it for your photography work. It's so much better than PC, I find. I might get some hate for saying that, but that's the truth. Anyway, so here I am in Luminar. So it's not a full tutorial. I just want to show you that you can do things pretty fast. And the great thing about Luminar is that it works with filters and different workspace and different things. So for example, I'm just going to show you the preset, which I think is cool. So this is my basic layer. I'm going to go here in layer. I'm going to click plus and add a new adjustment layer. So I'm adding a new adjustment layer. And then I'm going to click here, and I have a whole bunch of presets. I'm going to go to dramatic presets, and you can see here now I can click here, and in one click the photo completely changes. This is crazy, cold mood, dramatic grungy, dramatic look, and enigmatic vision. Now this one I kind of like, but I think it's too much, and I don't like it everywhere. So you know what? I can just take a brush here, and because it's on its own layer, and I can just brush the effect where I want it. So I only want that effect, for example, to make the Paris lights glow. I'm trying to make the lights to glow here a little bit. That's all I want to do. I like that. Okay. So then let me show before that layer, after. All I did was make this colors glow. I think I want to add a little more saturation on the color. So I'm going to add a filter, and I'm going to go to, for example, let me see, saturation and vibrance, and I'm just going to boost the saturation. And that's going to boost the saturation of just the place that I paint on, because you see here there is a mask, okay, just because I painted that effect. Now, I don't like the sky, and let's say you don't know how to use Photoshop and you want to do something about the sky. Let me show you a cool trick. I can go here, add a new layer image. I'm going to take this sky, for example. And so, of course, it's not as powerful as Photoshop to change the sky. Not even close. However, it does still a great job, and it's a great easy fix if you want to go this way. Okay, I don't know what's going on with my computer. It's probably because it knows it's live. So here, I'm adding this. This is a sky that I took, and I'm going to put the blending mode. Usually, if you follow my tutorials, I put it in multiply, but it's not good looking there. I'm going to use screen. Screen, I think, is good for this one, but it's obviously too strong. So you know what? I'm going to take my brush. I'm going to make it very big, and I'm just going to brush here on the sky. And as you brush, it's going to create a mask. It's going to create a mask here. Voila. And it's only bringing that effect just here. And now the sky is just here. Okay? And so if you think it's too much, you can lower the opacity of the layer, and you can just add a little sky like this. And it's a very cheap plugin, so I think it's really cool for people who don't want to spend the time to learn Photoshop. So now I can add a new adjustment layer, for example, and I'm going to take something. I'm going to take a preset. I'm going to take like basic preset, and I'm going to click on, for example, image enhancer. It's going to boost the image completely, It's way too much, so I'm going to lower this. I'm going to put just like 25 or 50%. But voila, in a few clicks, I was able to give a look to this photo. This is a photo that I would never publish, on social media usually, just because, I think it was too boring of a photo, but now I find it more interesting in a few clicks. And Luminar is just going to get you to places you don't expect. Anyway, I'm going to put up the link where you can, they have with a special price on this YouTube video as soon as it comes out. And also I will do a full tutorial next Tuesday. Voila, let me go back to the webcam here. So I'm back at the webcam. All right. So somebody asked big questions. What makes somebody a professional photographer? For me, it's very simple. A professional photographer is somebody who's making money with photography, who's making a living with photography. I think that's the main thing. Once you shift it to that, then you're a professional. Christopher Mackey says, how many times did I send my photo to Yellow Corner? This week he sent his folder to them. I sent it at least 10 times. 10 times. So, don't give up. They get so much, like even today, although I work with them, when I submit a new photo to them, they don't answer. They are so busy. There's so many photographers that want to work with them. It's crazy. But, there is not just Yellow Corner. There is other galleries out there, Like, I have a friend who, you have some people also that they don't really want to make money with photography because they are doctors, they are, entrepreneurs, they have, no money issues, but they just love it. However, they will still like to get a publisher. They will still like to have their work sold in galleries because, they want to share their art with the world. For these people, if you think your work is really good, and I know some of the people, some of my students are like doctors or architects, and they have like an amazing body of work. What I would advise you to do is make a beautiful portfolio, like a really nice one, and pay your salesman to go and show your portfolio as your agent in all the galleries in your city or in the biggest city in your country. You will be surprised. You will be surprised. Voila, that's one thing. Richard actually asked me, when shooting handheld, do you have image stabilization turned on? Yeah, I'm using the Sony 7R2, which has like a 5x stabilization by default on, and yes, I'm using it. However, if it's stabilization on the lens, which we have a lot, I use it by hand, but when you put it on a tripod, you have to turn it off. Voila. Somebody asked me if Luminar can rival Lightroom. Honestly, I think it can. I would never give up Lightroom just because I've been using so many years. But it's really good. I mean, it's probably the one plugin. If there's one plugin you want to have, is this one, because it's really good. It can do a lot that Lightroom can do. It can do a lot of things that Lightroom cannot do, and it can even do stuff that Photoshop can do. You see, there is two markets for Luminar. Luminar is either for people who don't want to do Lightroom and Photoshop, they want to do everything in Luminar, which they can, or people like me that love Lightroom and Photoshop but are looking for looks. Like just I showed you, like this Orton effect look that's in there. You can create in Photoshop, but it takes like 5 layers. I don't have the time. I rather just go into Luminar and try a few looks. You will see in my next video what I mean. It's really cool. Okay. Somebody says he's been playing with Luminar for 2 days. It seems very powerful and easy to use. Yes, it is. All right, guys. So I'm going to have to go because usually this is half an hour. Let me answer a couple of more questions. Serge, where do you make the website? My own website, I have my own webmaster because it's got my business become so big that I have my full-time webmaster. But before that, I'm using Squarespace, so for my portfolio, and I was using WordPress, but I would not use WordPress anymore. I think Wix or Squarespace is a better answer. Voila, let me see. Jan asked me if I have any tips to make it into fashion. There is one subject I know very little about photography is fashion. However, I will tell you this. I once saw a video from Joel Grime, who does a lot of fashion work in a way. At least he works with big magazines, and he was doing something which I thought was so brilliant. He picked the 20 magazines you wanted to work with. Okay. Then he printed 5 photos for each magazine, so like 100 photo. And every Monday he would write to, I think it's the editor in chief or the I forgot how it's called in magazines, or the stylist or whatever, somebody who runs and finds photographer. Every Monday he would send 1 photo with a handwritten note, not by email but by mail, and he would send 1 letter on for one editor on Monday. The next Monday he would send another photo to the same editor, and he would do that for 5 weeks on 20 magazines. So he would send 100 photos over. It's probably going to cost you like $500 of, printing stamps and stool, and a few hours of writing letters and buying the magazines. But if you are good, I'm sure that a project like this will get you job for life, and it's going to take you 2 days. I'll tell you something that's a sad story. No, it's actually a good story. A good friend of mine is a very good photographer, but he's really bad as a salesman, really bad. And anyways, he wanted to have an apartment in Paris, and he was not making so good money, so he asked me if I would put a caution, put my name, so that he could rent the apartment. So I put my name, but so I committed myself that if he doesn't pay the rent, I have to pay the rent. So I did that, and 6 months later, I get a letter from the landlord that he's not paying the rent, and now I have to pay for him. And I know the guy is a good photographer. I called him up. I said, "What's going on? Now I have to pay your rent. What's happening?" And he says, "Yeah, but I'm not a salesman like you. I cannot, go and sell my photos." And then I said, "Okay, I'm going to make a game with you." Because he was shooting hotels. You are going to take the yellow pages. You are going to call 50 hotels twice per week on Tuesday and Thursday. And you're going to show them your photos and tell them that you master Lightroom and Photoshop, that you're willing to be tested on one room. And I told him exactly what to say. And he did it, I think, 3 times. That was 5 years ago. He has been working and making between $5,000 to $10,000 per month as a real estate photographer ever since. And he never had to do this again. Because out of this, it took him only 3 days of phones. 3 days. 150 calls, and he had job for 5 years. People don't make the call. People don't write the letters, because photographers don't work. They are either not good enough yet, or they don't take the time to write the letters or make the phone calls. That's all. And I know hundreds of photographers, hundreds. So you have to take the phone, or you have to write. If you're in fashion, send your photo to fashion magazines. If you are into real estate, call real estate agencies. If you're into hotels, call hotels. There is no substitute. You have to be a little bit of a salesman, but it's your photo that's going to sell for you. Anyways. All right. Okay, mesdames et messieurs, it was a pleasure being with you live from Los Angeles, California. And I will tell you goodbye, and I'll see you Friday. Every Friday at this time, I will make a half an hour live stream so we can talk together. Okay, mesdames et messieurs, I'm going to cut the live stream now, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.